So we're going to get started here. I have a 12 by 16 panel of UArt 400 paper that's been mounted, and I just used some artist tape to section it off so that you can see all four of these different underpaintings together, and so that I can evaluate each of the effects that I'm going to get based on these underpainting techniques and decide which one is best for this painting that I'm going to be working on. The other thing I've done is I've just very lightly, or I guess not so lightly for the purposes of making sure you could see it on camera, I've taken a pastel pencil and just lightly sketched in sort of basic shapes just to give me an idea about where I'm going to put down my pigment so that they are, for the most part, pretty similar. I didn't spend a lot of time trying to make them too exact. So I'm going to come in first of all, and up here in the top left corner, I'm going to do just some soft pastel and wash it in with isopropyl alcohol. So I've picked out some colors. I'm not going to spend a lot of time really concentrating on color selection here. I've got some ideas, and I'm just going to lay in some of this kind of dusty rose-colored pigment in a few places, and there's some forms in a couple of these trees, in these trunks, but mostly cooler colors. This is sort of a grayed down bluish green. This one is a lot lighter. Let's see if I've got, I think that'll work. Again, I can refine my color selections a little bit later. But that works for now. I probably need a little more of this color in. And then around this area where there's going to be some rocks, it's a little warmer. It's in the shadow. I can probably work a little bit of this down here too. I'll share my reference photo. I'm not going to do much in this foreground. There's a little triangle of ground on the other side of this very shallow and narrow creek. So I'll put some worms down. I'll indicate a few rocks and things here and there. There's some sunlight on this side, so I might try to catch a little bit of that, but I'm not really gonna define that much. And also because this is just, this is just for some underpainting. So I've got some darker violets down here. Again, kind of a dusty violet color. Comes into the sunlight, but it's still fairly dark up here. And of course, this will be mostly greens, but I don't want to just go with green. I want to put some other colors under it. And certainly having kind of a dusty violet color or a dusty red color here and there will certainly help. The other thing you'll notice I'm doing when I'm putting down pastel is you can see quite a bit of the paper still showing through. I'm not filling in the paper. I'm not going to take my stick and just scrub it in, and so I have no paper showing through. That's too much pigment. And I am using softer pastel. I know a lot of artists will tell you, and with good reason, to use harder pastels for underpaintings because you don't want to fill up the tooth of the paper. My concerns with that really are twofold. One is that some harder pastels, like new pastels, are not light fast. Probably my more significant concern is that sometimes I don't get enough pigment, and when I wash in with my brush and dilute that pigment, I don't have a lot left. It easily washes out. So I just try to be careful and use soft pastels Mostly what I'm using here are Terry Ludwig's and Unisons. But as long as I don't fill the tooth of the paper, then I'm not gonna get in trouble and not have any room left to add layers on top of it. For the water, there's some in shadow. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in here. There's a little more shadow kind of along this edge. And it's kind of murky grayish green water. So there's a little light coming through, but the light's gonna go on top anyway. So I think for now, that probably gets me where I want to be with color temperatures. So there's number one. So what I have here, I just have a ceramic mug that I use, and I have a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, 70%, 91%. To me, it doesn't really matter all that much. Where I live, it's humid much of the year in the summer. But I've never had an issue of the 91% evaporating too quickly. So I just sort of use whatever's available at the pharmacy or the grocery store. I will say the one time I've had an issue using 91%, I was painting in Santa Fe at a much higher altitude. Here in Tulsa, we're relatively at sea level, just a little above sea level, but painting up in the mountains when it's really, really dry, I did find my alcohol was evaporating way too quickly. Other than that, I don't really have much of a preference. I'm gonna come in and just dip my brush. I'm just using a flat brush because this is such a small area, basically a 6x8. I'm just gonna use this 1/2-inch flat brush. If I'm working on a much bigger panel, let's say I was doing this over this whole 12x8, 12x16 panel, I would certainly use a much bigger brush because I don't want to tempt myself to start painting fine little details. So I'm just going to get my brush somewhat wet and push it up against the side a little bit if I get too much alcohol, just to push a little bit of liquid out. And I don't mind drips for the most part. But what I'm going to do first is show you another trick, and that is if I come in and paint my tree trunks first, I'm just going to get the brush wet, and I'm not really painting with it, although I certainly can. I'm really more just sort of tapping my brush to push some of the liquid out. And if I will come in and just... I've got some drips there, but that's okay. I can just blot them out with a paper towel if I decide I don't want them. In this kind of a wooded scene, I don't mind drips at all, really. But I'm going to come in and just softly liquefy the pastel where these tree trunks are going to go first. Just being a little careful with these, because what will happen is once these dry, they kind of lock into the panel, and I don't have to be quite so careful about the colors around them. I won't obliterate these tree trunks. I'll still be able to see them once I go back and paint the leaves around them. That's a trick that I learned from Liz Haywood Sullivan, and it's a really great trick. So while those trunks are drying, I'm going to come down to the foreground and do a little painting here. Normally I'll start with my darker values, but again, that would be up here, and I'm going to give that a little bit of a break. So then I can come in and see already I had so little pigment there that just a little bit of that liquid just completely washed it out. Again, that's kind of why I tend to use softer pastel, and this was a soft pastel, I just didn't have much pigment there to start with. Sometimes, depending on the effect I want to get, I'll just take my brush and sort of tap the edge of it on the long side and just push some of that pigment out and let it drip down. And as it liquefies and dries that pigment, it will be locked in. But more often than not, I actually will come in and paint as though I've applied paint on my brush, but really it's just isopropyl alcohol. and I'll liquefy it. And I always tend to make my brush strokes in the direction of whatever the form is, that the object or the form is that I'm painting. So these are little bushes and shrubby things growing along this creek bank. So I'm just going to sort of let them go up and down a little bit. Here, this rocky area is kind of sloping down toward the creek. So I'm going to actually make my brush strokes move more in that direction. Because if I don't completely cover up my underpainting, some of those brush strokes may show through and give me some little hints at texture and all sorts of things happening. So this water is pretty flat, so I'm going to again make some horizontal strokes, and again just kind of liquefy this pastel. And if colors are kind of blending together, actually I want that. It'll give me some nice transitions, soft edges, and that of course is one of the benefits of doing an underpainting, so that I can go back and control where I want my hard edges to be. Again, I don't mind if some of these colors are blending together a bit. Now, it looks really, really dark, but as this dries, it will lighten up quite a bit. So I'm not really going to worry about that too much. Again, with this foreground, I could probably wait a little bit longer for the creek to dry before I kind of put some of these brush strokes in, pushing this pigment up, because again, it's little scrubby bushes and things growing among the rocks on this side. And again, this will be mostly green and in some sunlight, but I want some of that darker color in the underpainting, just to give me some variety and to break up the greens. Okay, these tree trunks are mostly dry, so now what I'll do is I can come in, and again, all these shrubs and bushes growing in the background are growing in all sorts of different directions, generally speaking up toward the light, but there's lots of layers of all sorts of things. And in fact, what I might do, I could just put a little bit of some olive green back here in a few places. There's some cooler greens back here in the distance. I'm just going to layer some of this on top of it so you can sort of see how that will look. Could put some more intense green over some of these violets here in the foreground or midground, I guess. Might do that. So it's not totally green. Still has that dusty violet color underneath it. But now I can come in, and again, this is going to appear to be way too dark. Now it is pretty dark. These are sort of shadowed areas, but once this dries, it's going to lighten up quite a bit. And I can come in and not have to worry about being too careful around those tree trunks, because in general, they're still going to show through. I got my brush stroke here, I had a little too much pigment in it, but that's okay, because what I could always do is take this wet brush with some pigment, dry it off. I'm just getting the brush wet, knocking some off, have a little paper towel in my hand, and I could come in and lift out some of that pigment so that I have my lighter tree trunk again. Those may not have been quite dry enough, but you can still see this one both showed through. So I can still identify where those were. Soften some of these edges a little bit. And then it's all painted in. Again, this is going to dry. It's already starting to dry and getting a little bit lighter. But if I squint at my original photo, there's some deep shadows back here. It's pretty dark, so I do want that darkness in the underpainting. But notice what's happening here. All of these areas are sort of softly blending into each other. I don't really have any hard edges, with the exception of where I lifted some of this pigment out of this tree trunk. Those colors in the background are starting to blend. I can still see a little bit. It may be hard to see on your screen, but I can still see a little bit of that green in with that dusty violet color. I have some nice warm reddish earth tones in here and down in the foreground, and some of these violet colors where these rocks are going to go. And again, I can then come back through with dry pastel on top, and as I'm painting, I could then determine where my hard edges need to go. But this is a nice, soft, still colorful, but somewhat muted underpainting. And that is the benefit to me of using soft pastel. Okay, so let's move on to the next one.